A week later, I found fresh scuff marks on my sliding glass door, long, greasy smudges as if someone had dragged their fingers across it. I hadn't touched that door in days. There was also something else that chilled me even more. A single broken tooth left on the ground just outside the frame. Small, yellowed, with a jagged root like it had been yanked out. I showed it to the leasing office, but they shrugged it off, saying it was probably from a raccoon or some other animal. But I knew better. Animals don't lose teeth that way, and they certainly don't rub oily handprints on your glass in the dead of night. The next night, I stayed awake, sitting silently in my living room with the lights off, watching the sliding door. Just after 3 a.m., the porch motion sensor flickered on for half a second, then immediately died, like something had passed through it too quickly or had shorted it somehow. I pressed my face to the window, straining to see through the dark. That's when I saw him again. Not the neighbor, but something that had his shape. Tall, broad, but wrong. He was too still, and his eyes, though barely visible in the shadows, reflected the faintest greenish glow like a cat's. He didn't move forward, he just stood at the edge of the rocks, his arms hanging too long, almost reaching his knees. By the time I flipped the light switch, he was gone. I ran outside with a flashlight, scanning every corner of the tiny backyard, but there was nothing. No footprints, no disturbed gravel, just the humming silence of the woods behind the fence. That night, I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I finally introduced myself to the neighbor between us. She was an older woman named Carol who'd lived in her unit for nearly 20 years. When I asked her about the man down the row, her face soured, lips folding into a tight line. She shook her head slowly, saying, "That unit's been empty since June. No one's lived there since his wife disappeared." My heart thudded in my chest. I told her I'd seen him at night, outside, watching. She pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. Her voice dropped almost a whisper. "No, dear, you didn't. You saw what's left of him." As it turns out, months earlier, there had been a domestic violence incident. He'd murdered his wife, buried her in the crawl space, and hanged himself from the attic beam. The police had found her skeletal remains weeks later, after neighbors reported a foul odor. The unit had been sealed since then, at least officially, but something remained. I moved out the next morning, left half my furniture behind. I didn't care. But sometimes, when I dream, I still see that shadow in the backyard, standing just out of reach of the light, watching, waiting. And I swear to you there are nights, deep, silent nights, when I wake up at 3 a.m. on the dot, no matter where I am. And in that breathless moment between sleep and waking, I hear it, the slow, deliberate crunch of feet across gravel that isn't there.